Your mouth is now making you money when you're saying these words, right? You can lose a customer really fast. You're like walking a tightrope when you're asking them to tell you how much money they want to spend. So if you don't nail that part of it, it can be misconceived and come off like you are just a money-hungry contractor. So the very next thing I need to know from you, Dan, is what's your budget? Because I'm a visionary. When I see something like that, I'm going to design something that not only fits your needs, but fits your budget, and I'm going to give you options. And once we've established a budget, we can start to paint a picture together. We can come up with solutions together, and then that gives you the ability to pick which solution you're the most comfortable with. All right, you guys, we're back with part 3 of our Your Mouth Makes You Your Money series. And again, this is part of our Listen While You Work. So you guys can pop on your headphones and just listen along, and you don't necessarily have to watch what's happening. Let me know what you think of this concept in the comments down below. And without wasting any more time, let's get into today's video. Oh, one thing before we do it, please comment or hit the like button if you think this is a cool concept, and I'll continue to try to do other stuff like this. And now let's get into today's video.
Yeah. Hey, I need a retaining wall built.
All right, so where are you located, Dan?
Houston.
Houston, okay.
Pretend you live in Texas right now.
Tell me a little bit about your project.
Well, I got a wall. It's failing. It's an old timber wall, and I need to get it rebuilt. Want to go back with a block wall.
Okay. How big is that wall?
Oh, it's I don't really know. I haven't measured. It's roughly, I would say, 100 feet long, about 3 feet high.
Okay. So 100 by 3. How bad is what kind of shape is your wall in right now, Dan?
It's failing.
Okay, it's failing. What I'm doing right now, you guys, is I'm trying to get Dan to communicate. He's a little nervous because he's up here in front of you, but if we were on the phone, he would probably start to open up a little bit, and that's what I'm attempting to do, is get him to open up. All right, Dan, so if you've got a wall that's 100 feet by 3 foot, we've got 300 square feet of wall. That sounds like a pretty small wall, so we've got a couple options. Now, I haven't been out to your site, but a couple of things that I think while I'm thinking about retaining walls is, do I absolutely need to replace your wall? Or can we shrink the wall? Can we change the wall design? Can we move the wall one way or another way and make it better for you? So the very next thing I need to know from you, Dan, is what's your budget? Because I'm a visionary. When I see something like that, I'm going to design something that not only fits your needs, but fits your budget, and I'm going to give you options. And once we've established a budget, we can start to paint a picture together. We can come up with solutions together, and then that gives you the ability to pick which solution you're the most comfortable with. How does that sound to you?
That sounds awesome.
Okay, then you just give me a budget, and now I know how much money you got to spend, and I do what I said I'm going to do.
Have $1,000.
What's that?
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah.
And that's why I do it. That's why I do it, you guys, because I have spent hours on the road to go out and look at a $5,000 job, and the customer walked away and said, "Well, I thought that was going to cost me $500." And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. I've got to figure out a way that I can pull a budget from them, because I need to be realistic before I head out on the road.
Are you able to come up with a budget in your head? Just from what he said, all right, that's going to be $2,000. That's going to be $10,000.
I can tell you guys an estimate for that job in 5 minutes, because we're inside my niche. Now, I didn't ask you to tell me about a furnace installation or
how it's failing.
yeah, I know. I mean, I can diagnose any retaining wall, any size, over the phone, and then what I can assess, diagnose, and so I stay within inside my niche that I am like literally super good at.
Yep.
And then that gives me the ability to then give numbers before I ever get out to a site. And so that allows me to hone everything down. So when I'm there, the customer, all I got to do is they've already know how much money they're going to spend. All I got to do is make a connection with them. Talk about their dog. People love talking about their dogs. Talk about their family. I walked out of one meeting. I spent 4 hours with them, and they said, "Oh, say goodbye to Uncle Stan." He's walking out the door. I'm like, I nailed that one. Right?
Just saying. So I've tried to do that a bit with my business, get customers to talk about budget and that, and I've had a lot of times where they're just like, "Oh, I have no idea what this should cost," or what to expect?
Okay, so that's
What
a
do you do
beautiful question. You say, well, I can build you a job that'll cost anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. What I need to know from you is where you're comfortable so that I can build something to match your comfort. Okay? Because they're not, you don't want them to do the estimate for you. Really what you're trying to do is get comfortable so that you can provide estimates that fall within their comfort zone. All right? And this is where your mouth is now making you money when you're saying these words, right? You can lose a customer really fast. You're like walking a tightrope when you're asking them to tell you how much money they want to spend. So if you don't nail that part of it, it can be misconceived and come off like you are just a money-hungry contractor. What?
It doesn't have to
Well,
though. 'Cause I sell fireworks seasonally for 4th of July and New Year's, and within 30 seconds I get the budget, and I'm just now recognizing that this can be done with what he's talking about with what we do.
Everything.
I was a top salesman for a particular corporation for that time,
So go for it,
it's
Keith.
crazy.
My question is, I know you're really good at marketing, but I have a calling center that my calls forward to when I can't pick up the phone, and I have block times where I can talk to actual customers on the phone and qualify them, and I'm getting better at it. But what is your process for qualifying through all of the garbage leads so you can skim or cherry pick the cream off the top? When it's so time consuming talking to all these people on the phone, what do you do to get rid of the maybe 7 out of 10 that you don't want before they even get to you, or how do you deal with that?
I actually asked the customer yesterday, how did you get my number? And so that's a great question, Keith. You get good at knowing and identifying your own strengths. And so jobs that you can't quote over the phone may not be ideal for you to run out to give a quote. But what you want to find out is what's the scale of the project and where are the customer at. So would you be willing to drive an hour and a half to go look at a $300 landscaping job? Or would you be willing to drive an hour and a half to look at a $30,000 landscaping job? So once you start to qualify them, you want to get the sense of scale of what's going on their project into the queue. And I've got a $250,000 job I'm bidding right now, and a $100,000 job I'm bidding right now, and I may not have time to get to you guys this year if you wait and you sign one day after those two jobs potentially sign. So this is one of those little car salesman techniques, but really what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them to take the crap or get off the dumper, as my dad would say, but he wouldn't say it quite that nice. Okay?
You're instilling the urgency in the customer.
Right, you're giving them a sense of urgency because if they'll get complacent if they think they have a lot of time to think about this thing. So what you've got to do is you've got to say, it's a busy time of the year, and we need to make a decision right away. So yeah, I don't care, and I even say to them, look, I don't care if I do your job or I do the next guy's job because I will be continuing to work on and on and on and on, and I just know that your job, and then I'll paint the picture. Your job, your retaining wall is about to fail. It's holding up your driveway, and it's going to go right into the neighbor's yard. So you might want to decide sooner than later. But you don't have to for me, because I'll still be busy. But I'll say it a little nicer than that. I'm just letting my red show. All right?
Sam, do you do retaining walls on hills going down the lakes?
Yep. So just looked at one for the city of Lino Lakes yesterday, holding up a bridge.
Are they good?
Are they?
Moneymakers?
It depends on access. So now you're getting pretty specific. So you've got, those are trickier because you got to embed the footing more. And then also the hill itself is going to place a surcharge on that retaining wall because the slope behind the retaining wall places a surcharge on it. So you're going to end up doubling your geogrid lengths on that. So you just got to be careful. Another really super tricky one is building a retaining wall underwater. We've done a lot of those. Those are good money makers, but also then you're starting to get more nichified. So you literally extend the drainage zone on a retaining wall that's built underwater, and you'll wrap the whole thing. It'll go 7 foot behind it because now it goes, the entire drainage zone is the backfill zone, and it'll go up to the high water table.
But yeah, I'm talking about the hill coming down.
The hill, that slope, that surcharge, that's going to place a surcharge. So you got to be aware of that. So you can design it. But what you did, now how I learned all of this stuff was asking questions, you guys. But Versalock gave out a little engineering manual. It's about that thick, right? And it has these diagrams, and it shows you how to build engineered retaining walls. And guess who memorized every single one of those 20-some years ago? This guy did. This guy did. This guy did. I built my house. You know how I built my house? I didn't know how to frame nothing. I took all of the specs and I memorized all of the specs. So when the inspectors came out, I just went, yeah, I got that. We did that. I built a house according to their spec. Phil didn't mention something like this, so if you guys have a chance to talk to him about overhead, I want to hit this. This is a business killer. All right? Your overhead will kill you. They kill you. Okay? This will kill you, you guys, if you don't know what your overhead is. This is that magic mystery number where you go, where did all my money go all year long? I know how much I paid my guys. I know how much my materials cost me. And I owe the government how much money? I don't even have that much in my bank account. That happens to guys. And it's all because of that one thing called overhead. There's a number of different ways to calculate your overhead, and you need to dive deep on it. But one of the simplest things that I found consistently time and time again, no matter what I'm doing, as long as it's a blue-collar trade, I found that my overhead is $100 per man per day. Okay? Just overhead. So if I run a 10-man crew, all right, I'm going to paint you a picture of what that actually looks like. If I'm running 10 men, I know that my overhead, not my wages, my overhead is going to cost me about $1,000 per day. Really a rough number, okay? You guys need to actually calculate your overhead for yourselves. But I want to start to just put what this means into your business. That means if you work 5 days, your business lost $5,000 if you didn't allocate enough overhead into your jobs to cover that extra $5,000. This is the business killer. And it's tough because nobody likes doing it, but the easiest way to start to understand overhead is to take how much money you did last year, okay? Take out how many hours you worked, how much you paid your guys, how much you paid for materials, take that as a separate category, and then the remaining balance can be then started to allocate towards overhead, and you divide by the number of days you work. Then there's a number of different ways to really come up with those good numbers, but if you haven't done anything with overhead to this point, please just do that. It's going to take you 30 minutes tonight. It's going to take you 30 minutes, and that's going to start to put in perspective why when you work one extra day on a job, why that job costs you money instead of you making money. Okay? Go for it, Keith.
Is there can you put a formula on a board or something? Because I'm trying to listen to what you're saying. I want some formula so I can do it.
No, let's walk through it though. You guys write down the formula. You take what you made last year, and Phil, will you clarify this for these guys?
Yes, absolutely. Take what, all right, so if you want your overhead, you're gonna, you take what you made last year. You keep a bookkeeping system. Raise your hand if you have a solid bookkeeping system. Okay, great. So you can separate out, you can pull up a profit and loss statement, and you can separate out your expenses, your cost of goods sold from your overhead expenses. Do you, raise your hand if you are currently separating out your cost of goods sold from your overhead expenses? Okay. I want you to go through this and make a list of all of your, some of you will readily be able to print this out, some of you will have to look. These are your indirect costs. These are the bills that you have signed up to pay in the exception whether or not you have a single job. Your direct costs are bills that you're going to pay because you sold a job. You're going to buy materials, you're going to send a crew, you're going to do that. Your indirect costs, your insurance, your rent, your truck payments, your advertising expenses, your computer peripherals, paying your attorney. These are all indirect costs, so you must pay these bills. You want to target this number to be roughly, ideally somewhere, maybe around 25% of your business. If you're pushing higher numbers, I'm going to encourage you strongly to look at ways to lower that overhead. If you're pushing lower numbers, you would say, oh, that's great, I'm rocking some lower numbers. I would encourage you to raise those numbers. Well, who wants to raise their overhead? Well, people who want to spend more marketing to their ideal clientele. You might not be spending enough on advertising to the right people. So That is the formula for overhead. You're going to look at your total revenue, subtract out your cost of goods sold, subtract out your overhead expenses, and you'll be left with a net profit number. And so there are just two lists, cost of goods sold, overhead,
And labor.
and labor, which is in your cost of goods sold.
Okay, all right, so yes, so it's one way to do it, but this is something you guys, this is a business killer. I don't want to leave this floor without you guys getting a grasp on how to calculate your overhead, or at least a determination that you will go out and calculate your overhead, because it is one of the biggest factors to your yearly success. Are we all in agreement on that one, you guys? All right? We're there. What's up, Aaron?
A business killer for me has been purchasing old equipment, old trucks that they just cost so much money. And just because you hear people talking about, oh, you just have to pay cash for everything. Sometimes it's just not the best. An old truck can cost you way more than a new one. But it takes a lot of, at least for me, it took me years just to figure out that I was just all done by buying someone else's 10-year-old machine, or it's just a waste of money, in my opinion.
So you're buying newer equipment?
Yes, now I'm getting rid of all my old stuff and
Okay.
just buying.
Leasing is a great option. I leased an ASV this year. Love it.
Did
The best-
did you do that for the tax write-off though?
I do it for everything. Yeah, it's
It's a
all
money thing.
it's all part of it. So the lease means that I get to have the best of this machine and not the worst of it. It broke down the other day. It was an EGR valve. You know what I did? I called up the dealer and I says, "Come fix your machine. I'm leasing it. I got to get back to work." I had no worries about it. Been using it for 7 to 8 months. So there's a beautiful part, and leasing is 100% tax deductible. 100%. That means you deduct all of it right out of your taxes. When you own something, you've got to strategically purchase it to either take advantage of the tax, if there's a tax advantage that year, or not. Just don't go buy a machine without understanding, because that's 33% of the price. All right, this concludes part 3 of our Listen While You Work series. We still got one last part, and then we wrap this whole thing up. So make sure you guys stick around and do me a favor. Check out the 2 videos I'm going to put up here. One here. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the share button, and make sure you guys come back. God bless. Go get them, you guys, and we will see you on the next one.